Welcome to the NOSA Unleashed podcast, where we want to expose and remove the stigma surrounding mental health by discussing real-life challenges and obstacles that keep us paralyzed and fearful to move forward. Let us inspire you to believe there is more to life than what you are currently experiencing. Now is the time to end the silence and pursue the path to purpose and fulfillment. We will do this together because no one stands alone. Welcome back to the NOSA Unleashed podcast. I'm Laura Burgoyne, joined here with my sister Connie Blackwood. And today we are super excited to be having this conversation with you. And our topic is actually about getting unstuck. And it's really motivated and inspired by our recent doTERRA convention that we had in Utah. And our keynote speaker was actually the amazing Mel Robbins, and she's so inspirational. She had so many great tools and strategies for us in how to move forward and come out of that place of being paralyzed by fear. And Connie and I just wanted to share with you some of the takeaways that we got from that and how it's really kind of reshaped the way we think and transformed even our own productivity. So Connie, welcome to the conversation.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was actually pretty incredible. Just how, even 6 words can shift your perspective, right? Because she said 6 words that powerfully impacted me. Do you want me to share them?
Yeah. Tell us those words and how did it impact you?
So the 6 words that she said that really impacted me is that action kills fear, but if you let it, fear will kill action. So those 6 words, action kills fear or fear kills action, were huge for me because, I thought, oh, I've overcome fear. I'm good. And then when she said that, it was like something clicked because she
Mhm.
was like talking about all the times when you're sitting there thinking about what you need to do. And instead of just doing it, you're there talking yourself out of it. And I'm like, how many
Right.
times do I do that? How many times do I talk myself out of doing things and just don't actually jump into action? And it was so powerful because I was sitting there going, I do have a high level of fear that I never recognized because it's like almost hidden from us because it's almost like we don't recognize that as fear. That's
Right.
hesitation. It's not fear. But in reality, I was fearful to step into those things. And so by just stepping into it and not allowing those voices or those hesitations to take hold, I have been so much more productive. I have seen such a change in my life and in the way that I do things. And I'm like, wow, okay, 6 words literally changed my life.
Yeah, and I absolutely loved how she actually had a physical representation of that and showed
Mhm.
how it happens, right? Because, you know, she actually took some people out of the audience. For those who are listening, I'll try to describe how it was, but she literally picked someone out of the audience that she could see had absolute terror and fear on their face about being pointed out, right? And so she went around the crowd looking for the right person, and she found that person. And, she invited them to stand up, and you could literally see they were sweating, their face was flushed, they're like shaking, and they were like just completely scared about what was going to happen next. And, Mel Robbins said, I have this envelope for you. And if you choose to accept this envelope and open it, you need to do whatever's in the envelope. Right. And this person, was experiencing so much fear and anxiety about doing what was in there, that could be associated with not knowing what comes next, not feeling like you'll be capable, not knowing if you'll be able to follow through, right? And so the very first step she talked about was that, first of all, it's a choice, right? Like every time she offered this lady a choice. She could either choose to open the envelope or not. And that is an action, right? And like you said, action kills fear. So the lady was in fear. So anyways, she decided to open the envelope, and the very act of opening the envelope and reading it, you know, that was an action which killed a little bit of the fear, right? Because when she read it and she saw what it said, and it said that she had to come up on stage with Mel Robbins, right? And for a person that's in a room with like 20 or 30,000 people who hates being in the spotlight, like that was a huge fear for her, but she had a choice to make in that moment, right? And it was so cool to see that as she made that choice and she walked to the stage with Mel Robbins and they got to the stage, and before they left, like Mel asked her like, "What is your fear level at right now?" And the lady was like 9.5, right? And but then by the time they got to the stage, she asked her again, "So where is your fear level?" And she said, like, I think it was like a 4 or 3, like, it had significantly come down, and just literally by the action of walking from her seat to the stage, right? And it was so cool to see how she actually demonstrated that 3 different times, and how every time the people, took that action, it, combated that fear to the point where they actually were able to move forward.
I know, it blew my mind, right? Just how simple it is, but it's so true. Like, it's such a beautiful expression of how true that is. And so, since we've been back, I've actually been, just jumping into action, and I've seen a huge change. And not just me, other people around me, which is really cool when other people see it too, and it's not just me, because sometimes we convince ourselves of anything. But when other people see it, it's like, wow, okay, this isn't just me. Other people are seeing it too. And it's amazing because then I can share this with other people, because I think it's powerful when we can get out of our fear and just move forward and step into our destiny, step into the purpose that we've been given.
Yeah, and so many times too, it's like I'll, you know, be spending time by myself and dreaming or meditating on what it is that I want to do. And I have these like inspirational moments. And I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. And then, I start thinking and I start coming up with the reasons why, well, this would be a bad idea. These people wouldn't like this idea. Oh, I would probably be, thought of in this way if I pursued that. Like you start rationalizing things and you start convincing yourself that you shouldn't follow through with those things, even though it was like totally inspired. It was a fantastic idea, but we make excuses for ourselves to not move forward in action. And I loved one thing that Mel Robbins said. She said, "You have 5 seconds to do something before you lose the motivation to do it." Right? Just 5 seconds. Right? And when she said that, I thought about my own life and I thought about my own processes. And it's true, right? Within those first 5 seconds, you know, we have the power to change the outcome. And, in that we get to interrupt those neural pathways and do something new, right? And she actually had like a little rule that she uses, which I thought was cool. And she's actually written a best-selling viral novel like book about it called The 5 Second Rule. And so anyone can get her book and read more about this and the scientific part about it and why it works. But I thought it was just so fascinating that she said, when you're in a situation like that and you need to make action, but you feel overcome by fear, her rule is that you just need to count from backwards from 5 to 1. So literally count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then move. And, we got to see that firsthand with these ladies that she, you know, really impacted their life in a powerful way. And how many times in our life where it's just like, I need to do this, but, we have excuses why we shouldn't, but we just need to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm going to go do it. Regardless of how I might be feeling, I'm going to do it because it has to be done, right?
Yeah, and those women, the fear didn't go to zero. They stepped out regardless of that fear still
Mhm.
being there. And it by the end, their fear was like 1 or 0, and
Yeah.
it's powerful, right? It just shows like it will diminish. You can keep going. But if you don't take that first step, then it's going to just overwhelm you and you're not going to move. And that's how we all get stuck, right? Stuck in our
Mhm.
ruts, stuck not moving forward, stuck thinking that we're not capable, but we really are. Like those women didn't that first the first woman didn't even think she was capable of going on stage, but she
Yeah.
was, right? And how many times do we say we aren't skilled enough, we aren't educated enough, we don't have enough of whatever, so we talk ourselves out of it because we think we're not capable, yet we are designed to be capable for what we've been called to do. So
Yeah.
why do we disqualify ourselves from things that we are designed to do?
Yeah, and really it takes courage, right? Like, that's all that it takes for us to actually step out and, step past fear. It's just courage, right? And I actually had the opportunity to actually implement this last night. And, we were out at a family gathering and, uh, I'm not gonna go into the specifics because, some people might listen to this later, but I had this opportunity, and in the moment, I thought, "No." Like, I thought, "Oh, you should really do something about this," and I thought, "No, I can't do it," and I started rationalizing, I was like, "No, Laura, just go do it." And so literally, I picked myself up, turned myself around, and went and did it, and the outcome was amazing. And
Awesome.
yeah, and I was just like, "Okay, Laura, the difficult things," and it was something that I thought was gonna be so hard, so awkward, that the outcome would not have been positive, but the complete opposite that what I had expected happened. And, and this has been something that I've been avoiding for a long time. And so, it's so good to get those little wins and be like, "Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can walk in courage. I can, confront things that have been, in the back of my mind for a long time." And, for those of you that are listening, there's probably things that you can relate that you've put off because of fear of what people are going to think, what they're going to say, maybe how you're going to come across. Maybe you do feel like you're not equipped. Like all of those things come at us in the moment where we need to act and we need to move forward. And, it's time for us to no longer let those things hinder us and stop us from doing what we have to do.
Hmm. It's so true. And I think sometimes we also get caught up in ourselves, feel like
Hmm.
talking ourselves down, like tearing ourselves down
Right.
and telling ourselves we can't do it. And, it's interesting because there's times when other people are like cheering you on, you can do this. And you're the one who's holding yourself back. You're the one
Right.
who is your biggest obstacle because you're the one who's saying, I can't, even though other people are like, you can totally do this.
Yeah.
I was like, just thinking, so we need to get out of our own way. And I think
Hmm.
that's what's so powerful about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because it allows us to get out of our own way.
And I actually just remembered the reason why she said the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 works is because it takes that long for you to get out of your, flight or fight mindset back to your prefrontal cortex where you can actually think rationally. And so when you do that thinking or counting backwards, it actually makes that switch happen and make you able to move forward in action.
Whereas if you try to
But
do it
some
frontwards, it's not going to work because you have that memorized. So it doesn't actually move your brain anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, Connie, I was gonna ask you, like, we've been home from that convention for like, I think 10 days. And there's been so many powerful things that have come out as a result of that. But like, what is like probably the biggest transformation that you've seen in your personal life, having utilized some of the things that you learned there?
Well, practically speaking, I'm getting up at 5 in the morning and working on my business in the morning, and like do my own devotions, and then I do devotions with Walter. Um, so I actually have my routine back, which I haven't had a solid routine back since like before my dad died, which is a
Mm,
long time ago. Like it's over a year now. That's a long
yeah,
time to have lost my routine, and it's back, right? There's some diet days when am like, okay, well, I'm actually going to allow myself to sleep in today because I'm choosing to, because I've worked so hard already. But it's been regular, my routine, because even when I slept in, I got up and did my routine, right? So
right.
I just love having my routine back. And so I'm super excited about that. And then on an internal level, I would say my level of confidence has gone through the roof compared to where it was before. And I thought I was a pretty confident person, but when I look back, I'm like, Connie, you were deceiving yourself. You were not that confident. You are so much more confident now. Like, I don't
Hmm.
let what other people might think or what other people might judge me on or what other people might say hold me back anymore. And I don't let myself hold myself back anymore, because in a lot of ways I was my worst enemy in a lot of things.
Yeah.
How about you? It's been 10 days for you too.
Yeah, it is. You know what? And I haven't told you this yet, and I'm not going to get into the nitty and gritty of it because it's quite personal, but there's been an area in my life that has been troublesome for a very long time, and it was actually causing me a lot of emotional distress recently.
Mm.
And because of, some of these things that we learned, I I just did the hard thing. I was able to have the hard conversations. I was able to assert myself and not, you know, take the back seat in some of these situations, and the outcome has been incredible, and I can't wait to actually tell you the whole details, Connie, on Thursday when we meet, but and I don't think you're gonna be able to wait that long. You're probably gonna ask me later today or something, but regardless of that, I'm seeing, like, monumental shifts in the way I think, in
Mhm.
the way I'm perceiving even situations, and the way that I am valuing my own thoughts and my own self and what I will, accept or tolerate in different circumstances, and be willing to step into them even knowing that it might be difficult and that I am capable of handling those difficult things. And so um it's been super powerful, especially in the last 4 days. So, I'm super excited about what's gonna come up, and of course, absolutely productivity has come out of that too, right? Because when you move in action, when you keep moving forward in every area of your life, like, things are getting done, right? And I've noticed, so much more effectiveness in my execution of my work, even communicating with people, being direct and not beating around the bush and hoping that they get my drift somewhere down the long road in the future, right? It's just like, no, let's just deal with this now and face it head on. And I'm seeing great, great results from it, and I'm excited.
Awesome. That
Yeah.
is really exciting.
Is there anything else you want to say about, you know, moving forward in the face of fear and really challenging yourself to not let any more excuses hold people back?
Literally don't give yourself time to think,
Mm.
because when you give yourself that time, you will talk yourself out of it. You will.
Every single time.
Yeah, you will. Because you come up with all the reasons in the world why you can't. But in reality, we can. And,
Mhm,
I it's we our minds work against us, right? We live in a negative world where our mind goes to the negative place first, right? So if we let
yeah,
it wander, that's where it's going. It doesn't
mhm.
yell at us, "Yeah, you can do this." Right? We have to actually be doing it, and then we're like, "Yes, we're doing this." Right? It doesn't work the other way.
Mhm.
So I would just say, don't let yourself think. Just do it. Just go and do it. Do what you have to do.
And I'll add to that, when you do it, you'll see how easy it was, and it'll actually propel you to wanna keep just doing it more and more and more. And you're gonna
Mhm.
create that momentum, you're gonna create that forward, progression in some of these areas of your life that maybe you've been stuck for a very long time.
Mhm.
And it's time for us to become unstuck. It's time for us to start moving forward and seeing victory in many areas of our life. And so I hope this has encouraged you. I hope this has inspired you. If you want to learn more about this, and by the way, we're not being paid for this plug. I just
Nope.
really appreciated Mel's message so much and have been impacted by it so much. Uh, you know, you know, feel free to check out her books, and in particular this 5-second rule, and you will be really impacted by it. I believe you would. And you can probably find it on any major, Amazon or wherever online. Probably easy to find, but yeah, that I would recommend you read that. It will give you greater clarity into what Connie and I are talking about, and even how to, implement it into your personal journey. So thank you once again for joining us on the No Unleashed podcast, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.